Hi, good day, everyone. I think we're just waiting for a few more people to join. So let's give them all some time. Hi, everyone on the call. We're just waiting for everyone else to join. So let's just give it a few more minutes and we will get started. Hi, everyone. For those just joining, we're just waiting for a few other members to join as we've just hit just past 4 o'clock now. We're just going to give a minute or so for more people to join and then we will get started. Right, I think I'm just going to give it 2 more minutes, and anyone else who hasn't pitched up at that point will sort of have to fall in in between. So 2 more minutes, guys, and we are going to start. Alrighty there. All right, everyone. We've given some time. A few more people will be joining in as we proceed. So please just excuse that. I think some people are probably stuck in other sessions. We all know how busy the day gets. But first, let me just get started here. Okay, there we go. You guys should be able to see me, see my lovely potato face. Good afternoon, everyone. And as you can see, I'm extremely excited for us to host our first ever Blue Turtle TechFin webinar with you guys today. My name is JP van den Berg, and I'm joined here today by my colleague Vanna Burdrake, who will be off camera for today. He's being a bit camera shy. Um, and yeah, we're very happy to have you all here with us today for our first session. And it's going to be great. We're going to talk a bit about SAM and SAM Health 2 Management. But before we do that, I do want to talk just a little bit about Blue Turtle and who we are
JP,
as a whole.
JP, just check your
Yes.
screen. We're not seeing you.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you for that, Captain. You see, even Teams can be funny at times, right? There we go, folks. Just give me one moment. It does seem to be having some trouble here with the sharing. Let's just double check here. Right. There we go. Can you guys just confirm for me if you can in fact see my PowerPoint slide? Just a quick confirmation from anyone. Can you guys see here? And the chat is, you can. Okay, fantastic. There we go. Thank you very much for that, guys. Awesome. All right, so you can see, I can see. Very good. So once again, guys, thank you and welcome for joining our session. I just want to talk briefly about who we are, who is Blue Turtle. Actually, a bunch of wonderful people have come to bring me what I like to call my home away from home. We were actually founded in 2003, and I will tell you it's been some of the best years of my life. We're currently based in the Midrand, where our head office is, and I'm proud to say we are a leading enterprise technology management company. And we specialize initially in aligning business strategy and advancing technology solutions. We normally help organizations build, optimize, and secure their IT environments, as well as helping you guys to push those cost-saving initiatives across your estate. Now, whether you're an ITAM manager, a licensing specialist, or you're just overseeing software compliance, you know, I know that a healthy SAM tool is not just nice to have, it is absolutely essential for smooth day-to-day operations. Now, with that in mind, a well-maintained system ensures your SAM tool performs at its best. But in order to do this, there are a few things you need to do to make sure that your tool is running smoothly. Now, before we begin, you will all notice you've been muted. This is to ensure there are no interruptions. I will ask that you guys please not unmute yourself during the course of the session. Otherwise, our administrators will mute you just to make sure we get no interruptions in between. Please feel free to drop any questions in the chat if you pick them up, and I will have Vanna address them at the end. All right. So just to move over here, we're going to go into our agenda, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we go here. Sorry, seeing my camera. Great. So let's quickly head off into this, guys. And I feel, as we all say, going into anything, it's important to just touch on our agenda, what we'll be looking at. And we'll be starting with why ITAM health matters. Then we'll explore a bit about system health dashboards and some of our key components like our beacons, our inventory device metrics, as well as our agent health and basically how our little inventory agents work. And we'll look over overall system health. And we'll wrap that up with a quick session around our best practices. And then Vanna will jump on in with a quick segment on his side as well as a Q&A portion. Now, guys, as we go, please do feel free to drop questions in the chat. Vanna is eyeballing them, and he will get you the answers you need. Please, no one ask for lottery numbers. We do not have them. We are not sharing. All right. So, moving on, guys. Let's talk about why ITAM health matters. Right? Let's move over here. So, why does ITAM health matter? In the world of software asset management, you know your SAM tool is the core foundation for managing your estate. And if it's not performing optimally, well, you're flying a bit blind, to be honest, in the busy airways that are the SAM space. And any crack, albeit how small, can lead to ruin. So that's why we keep an eye on our SAM platforms, our health, and it generally keeps the machine running smoothly and operating to how we need it to on a day-to-day basis. So that raises the question, what are the focus points that we like to look at for a healthy system? Well, as a general overview, I like to think the first thing and the most important thing is what we like to look at is accurate license position. And why is this important? Because everything you do revolves around this. But having a healthy system ensures that you can get to that accurate license position, accurate agents, working beacons, your whole infrastructure needs to flow. Ensuring things like reliable reconciliation and recording and reporting across your state ensures there are no more gaps and it doesn't leave you guessing during audits. Second, reduced compliance risk. Ideally, you want to minimize your exposure during software audits and compliance reviews ideally. We'd like to think of this as having less surprises from our vendors like Microsoft, Adobe, Oracle. We've all been there. Third, a reliable data flow. Much like any working infrastructure, it's all a pipe. And if there are any blockages, it can prevent delays. So it can put in delays. It can prevent your system from functioning the way it needs to. And failures can affect many things, not only delaying your team from getting their work done, but affecting your risk, affecting your compliance, and your overall day-to-day data. Last, or certainly not least, is time efficiency. Now, I don't know about most of you in the chat, but who really wants to waste hours troubleshooting when you know you've got healthy practices put in place to ensure your system is running smooth? This really does minimize headache and ensures your team has no delays in getting those important deadlines all across the finish line. So, having a good system, having trustworthy data, making sure that your data is data you can rely on, these are all things that we want to focus on. Can you imagine for a moment if you went into an audit of incomplete data? It's an absolute nightmare. So proactive health management can take that nightmare and we can make it a bit of peace of mind. We can help you better navigate the harsh waters that are these software audits, all these sharks swimming around. Now, before we begin, I would like to do a quick poll in chat. Please feel free to participate. I'd like to know from each of you, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of your SAM tools health capability? So how confident are you as a user in your SAM tools health? Drop a question, 1 to 5. I'll give you guys just a moment or so to do that, and then we'll proceed onwards, all right? So just to confirm, in the chat, drop for me, how comfortable are you with your SAM health tool, and how do you rate your SAM tool overall from a health perspective, 1 to 5? Do you feel your system is great? Do you feel you've got a leaky pipe somewhere? Let us know in the chat. Okay. You guys can answer those as we continue, and then we'll sort of touch back on that just a little bit later. And I think it's important that we just quickly move on to a bit about our environment, as I may be mentioning a few things that could be quite foreign to some of you, and some of you may be very familiar with this. So we've made a very simple, simplified graph to just get our point across. So how does data collection work essentially? Just so you know, well, we have agents and agent-led deployment that we utilize. And we do this by essentially installing, when we use agents, our software agent on your device. That then captures all your information from that device, such as hardware, software inventory, usage inventory, and usage data. We also actually grab data from external connectors, such as SCCM, Intune, ADDM, Office 365, and they all get built into our system through what we call our data collectors. We know them in the Flexera world as beacons, Some of you work in this different spaces such as snow may know them as expanders or runners or gateways, depending on what SAM tool you've used in the past. And all of this data gets put through our system, normalized, and it then gets submitted onto the front end after it's gone through a reconciliation process. So just a bit of a quick overview here. I don't want to dive too deeply into this. I need you all to be with me at the end of the session. So our health dashboards, right? So what are these little lovely dashboards that I am referring to? Well, a little command center comes in. Now, this Flexera tool is absolutely fantastic in that it has a lot of built-in functionality from day one to help you get you on your team, get your team up to speed, and just get an idea of where your state is sitting. Now, one of these functions is what we call our system health dashboard, and that actually does give you a massive quick glance at what is happening on your estate. It tackles everything from your beacon devices, which you've mentioned as our collectors, our inventory agents, what we use to snoop out all the data. It can tell you when you had your last imports, reconciles, your library updates, or any alerts you may have picked up in your estate. So what are some of these indicators? As we mentioned, beacons. We check for beacons. We make sure that they're communicating effectively. They're uploading data. They don't have any errors such as upload errors or failures or services not running. The tool is quite great in fact that should one of your beacon services actually go offline, it will update and tell you that service has actually gone down, which is a very nice improvement that was put in quite recently, and it's a great indicator to give you a real-time metric of what's happening with your beacon estate. We look at inventory imports. These are things such as custom business connectors, which some of our clients like to do. Things like your Office, your ACCM importers. We monitor them, check them daily, make sure there aren't any issues, or if they're failing, why? Do you have an authentication problem? Was the security certificate perhaps stripped? All of these things come into play, and it's important to know and see them all in a unified place. The dashboard does also give you quite a bit of extra functionality, as you can use this to drill down into basically anything and everything regarding your health. Is the ARL SKU and pull libraries that are managed by Flexera that are updated weekly. These are done automatically, and we keep track of them as well so we can see what the latest iteration is to ensure our system stays accurate. Alerts are something that we've all seen alerts across systems, so they're very generic, but we normally always stay on the lookout for any alerts that pop in, commonly alerts related to our beacons specifically, because pick up an issue in inventory, that's more or less often where you should start investigating, see your beacon. And I believe good beacon management is absolutely key to a healthy system. So with that in mind, I would like to move on just a tad. Now, folks, I do speak a bit fast, and I do apologize for that. So if at any point I am going a bit fast for everyone, kindly just drop a message in chat. One of our moderators will just interrupt me casually and tell me to slow down, and I will do so. All right. So looking at this lovely thing called beacon health. Now, beacons are critical to your environment. They are your gateways for data from your agents and your importers to connect to your central server and your system. If you look at your SAM solution like a, let's say, logistics network, the beacons are your distribution hubs. They keep data moving from one endpoint back into the system. And if they stop communicating, well, you can probably realize your visibility will start to drop. That's why we keep an eye on it. So what are things that we ideally recommend you look at from a beacon point? Well, first and foremost is your connectivity status. Are your beacons online? Are they reachable? Because if your beacon is down, that's an immediate issue you need to look at, because then you are effectively getting nothing from that inventory. From that beacon being inventoried, you're not getting any agent data, no inventory data, no license data, etc. That's an immediate gap we like to check. And so your beacon always needs to be visible, reporting, and up to date. And with that, the beacon has the functionality we call the beacon policy status, where the beacon routinely updates its policy, and you can also see that from the front end, telling you, is the policy working correctly? Are there issues? Is it actually having trouble downloading a policy? We've often seen in some client environments where they've had a oopsie or a sudden network change, and suddenly a beacon stops working. And this can happen in any estate because, as we all know, IT is quite complex and anything can happen at the drop of a hat. So being prepared is key. Another thing we like to look at is all this pending uploads because we like to make sure that the data is actually flowing through the beacon. Once you start seeing a backlog of a gig or so, you know you've got a problem in your pipe somewhere because the water isn't flowing at the rate you need it to. Regularly checking your upload status will tell you immediately if there's a problem on your beacon or network issue that may have arisen in your estate. Heck, you might even pick up an issue before your network team does. We've seen it happen. And yeah, those are just a few core things that we like to check on the beacon. There are more advanced things that often become problems, such as firewall or proxy changes that can happen in a state. We've seen that happen, as I said, with security patches being rolled out. And that's often where we come in and we can assist you guys with getting that sorted. Sometimes it's an easy fix, sometimes it's something that takes a bit more investment. But we'd like to think we're with you every step of the road. Other issues we've also picked up are things such as expired certificates because of how we initially have connections set up. Um, Obviously, your data needs to be secure at all points. So should something ever happen to a security certificate, that's something we would investigate. I don't want to delve too deeply into the beacons today. I just want to give you guys a bit of a rough overview of things we do check and why it is so important to look at the beacons. Because as I said, if something goes wrong, beacons are a good place to check. Because when the issue happens upstream, you follow the stream down to see what's happening. So, going to move on to the next one, which is essentially our inventory health. So, this is where your hardware and software data gets processed and we turn it into something meaningful. Your inventory health tells us a lot about what's happening with your system. Is it constantly receiving data? And is it normalizing your data? Now, Flex has a great deal of many built-in reports to help you actually manage your inventory, see what's happening, is your inventory concurrent, and what's happening around your agents. And in fact, they make it quite easy to even create your own reports. So you can have your own personalized view of what's happening to give you and your team that clearer picture. Now, all of these things help you to get to sort of the crux of any inventory issue as it would appear. So, what are things I believe we should look at for a healthy inventory? Well, regular imports of our inventory should be key. Our imports normally run on a reconcile cycle that happens normally during the morning for most of our clients. Um, I know a lot of our clients like to run it normally between the times of 12 o'clock in the morning to about 2 to 3 o'clock. And this obviously will differ depending on your estate size and the volume that you actually move during that period. Some states are massive, some are a bit smaller. And we like to make sure that a successful reconcile is always run because the second a reconcile fails, you already have inaccurate data and your picture's out of scope. We like to believe that your data should be up to date as much as possible. It's a philosophy we live by and we try and enforce. We like to keep you guys on that same page to make sure your system is always on the latest, the greatest, and everything is in line as it should be. As a result, we look for things such as rejected files, recon failures, or even devices that are reporting on very strange schedules. We've actually had some clients in the past that did large scale deployments and they weren't aware of some parameters. It's their first time doing it and it went askew. They did a bit of deep diving on their side and they found the issue. So it's amazing how these things sort of interconnect to one another and having these healthy systems in place to check for these issues, look for recognition patterns, ensures your system stays healthy and your imports don't start falling off. Because the second your imports start falling off, your license position becomes unreliable. And when a compliance risk starts creeping in, even good inventory management guidelines really become important because they can help us to prevent this. So there are various different things we look at initially when it comes to our importers and our agents and our overall system. And we've touched a few of these things already. Ask yourself, when you look at your own system today, is my inventory good or my beacons good? Is my data concurrent, complete? And above all, is my data trustworthy? Because without trustworthy data, even the best SAM practices won't deliver value. Now, let us talk about our little collectors, our inventory agents, which we essentially use to collect inventory data. This is where we go in and we grab all the raw information from your devices, such as your hardware details, your installed software, your usage data. You think you hid something sly under C program files there? Well, we'll find it, and your company will find it thanks to our tool. So there's really no hiding. It's all on the table, and that's the great thing about Flex. It can flush out almost anything on your platform. Now, with Flex and inventory agents, monitoring the status helps us to get a good overview of what's happening with your data, with your inputs and outputs. And with our agent status page, that's also custom set up by Flexera from the get-go. So first time you use it, it will be there. It will show you and give you a bit of a rough overview of what's happening with your agents. Have some of them stop reporting? Have you lost some visibility? It helps you to pick up where there are blind spots in your environment. As always, we like to do a bit of custom reporting ourselves, but Flex has a multitude of great built-in reports specifically around agents, from aged agents initially to showing you what your agent health looks like, what versioning control is set up, or essentially when your agents last reported in. And we can dive quite deep on that if we really needed to. And it's something we will do in a future session with you guys. We will be hosting another webinar around a deep dive into the Flexera health system overall. Now, what are things that we monitor when it comes to agents? Well, a last inventory received is ideally something that we look at all the time. What is that? Well, it basically tells you when is the last time your agent spoke back to the system. So you're asking me, but JP, I have a server that hasn't reported in 10 days. You ask yourself, that server should be on every day. You're not seeing it for 10 days. So either your agent isn't working or something happened to that server. Could have been decommissioned, could have been moved, hopefully not stolen. We all know where we live. But yes, initially keeping an eye on our last inventory is quite important. Ideally, you need fresh data. So making sure your agents are reporting in daily is key. We like to look as well for patterns and failed uploads. And we normally check this from inventory point as well, setting up custom reports just to see if we have any failures, or we may have seen the agent come in one day and then suddenly disappear the next. Now, when it comes to agents, a thing we quite stress on is versioning control. Now, Flexera is great because they are effectively always improving their system with every new iteration. And along with that, they improve their beacons and their agents. And we always encourage clients to be as up to date as physically possible with both, ensuring that your beacons and agents are on the latest versions. And the reason for this is extremely simple: functionality. As Flex improves, as the world is ever moving with technology, you need to stay on the same beat, and your system needs to stay on the same beat. Because in order to receive the latest functionality as it comes, you need to have your systems on the latest versions. That's why version control is extremely important, because if you don't have it up to date, you're missing core features. Another thing we do normally look at as well is specifically duplicate serial numbers that do pop up in the States, because essentially you shouldn't be seeing any duplication. That's something that does appear from time to time, especially in shifting environments. As we know, the IT world is ever shifting. So typically we do recommend that you aim for the bulk of your agents to always be reporting. Obviously, that percentage threshold is based on your own organization and how you view your own SAM maturity. But we don't believe in gaps. You should have coverage, whether it be via Flex, whether it be via secondary inventory connectors. You essentially need to have your whole estate visible, and this can be done via our agents and via Flexera's fantastic discovery methods, which actually do help you to map out gaps in your system. Now, once beacons, inventory, and agents are all functioning well, we can essentially step back and we can look at the overall system health for your platform. Now, when it comes to overall system health, um, once again, Flexera has a great multitude of different dashboards, and if you're keen on seeing that in the future, please sign up for future webinars where we'll actually be showing a live demo system, so we can show you all the nitty-gritty fun stuff. So we normally look, as always, for green indicators across the board, meaning green is good, and the second anything turns from green, we investigate. So what are common issues we often see appear across different systems? Well, those can be things such as inventory imports that are failing, agent health declining, recons failing, beacons not deploying, and all of these can contribute to your overall system health. Now, maintaining this state for your system, it doesn't really happen by accident. It does come down to a few practical habits. Now, what would I recommend are these habits? Firstly, make the system health dashboard a part of your daily routine, along with daily and weekly reporting. So you can see what's happening in your estate, what movement is taking place, and is your estate aging. Ensuring your beacons and agent versions are kept current. As I mentioned, the second they age, you start losing functionality. Will they stop working? No. Will you not get the latest and greatest that Flex has implemented? Yes. Upgrade your beacons. We also like to use a bit of early warning setup if possible with some clients. Some clients have their own monitoring put in place. We like to do daily checks for some of our clients as well to check on the day in the morning, what's happening, get a quick overview of the system. Has anything failed? Have any connectors failed? And from there, we start addressing I would say the issue often before our client even picks up anything's been happening, and we like to then address it in that format. So what happens when you take all of these habits and you put them together? Well, you get a fairly healthy SAM tool and you can keep your organization compliant. So we looked at implementing dashboards. We've spoken a bit about failed inventory. We've spoken a bit about the beacons, the inventory agents, and just generally how all of this comes together. And if you guys have any questions about this, once again, after the seminar is done, we'll provide a link for you guys if you feel free to reach out to us. If you'd like to know a bit more, or if you'd like to improve visibility of your SAM system, don't be shy to reach out to us. So, with that segment done here, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Vanna Burdrick. Vanna, are you on the line?
Great. Thank you, JP. Hi, everybody. Just the next steps here. Do you want technology spin into a real competitive advantage? Blue Turtle's TechFin strategy can enable you to do so. We specialize in many services related to Flexera and other SAM tools, from system-wide health and maturity assessments to professional services, and both the technical and operational end to help you better the SAM initiative in your estate. Need some focused training or workshops for your team? We have you covered. Apologies. Let us show you the Blue Turtle way. And next is the questions and answers. Nobody asked a question in the questions area, but is there anybody with questions that want to verbally ask any questions?
I think people may have dropped some in the chat. I don't know if our Q&A segment is just a little bit buggy at the moment. Can I ask anyone at all to just check for us? Thank you, Simone. Right, Vanna, while we wait for that to get done, shall we tell them a bit about the next webinar that is coming up? All right, so guys, we have a future webinar planned. I think you will see the details that I have here on screen, and this is for one of the next webinars we do have set up, and it's going to be around mega publisher renewal. It's going to be quite interesting. It's going to have a few of our operation guys, as well as the wonderful team from Livingston. So it's going to be a joint collaboration here. So please, guys, have a look at this, and we would like for you all to attend to get a bit of a better idea around what's happening in the publisher space and how we can improve your renewals going forward. So once we're done, you guys will most likely receive a lovely link and email from our marketing team, and then you'll get all the information around that booking for our next webinar. Right, I see Simone did pop there. All right, guys, so it does seem that Q&A is a little bit busted. So if you have any questions, I would love to know from you guys. What are your questions? Please let us know. Raise your hand in chat. You will then be unmuted by Simone, and then you can ask us your questions, and Vanna will answer. Handing over to you, Vanna.
See one question from Jimmy. From your experience, what are the most common reasons for agent check-in failures? Most of the time, what we saw is agents that loses their policies, there's network issues, and or just the agent that's completely stopped working, or a user, even if it's in workstations, users that has access that decide to switch off the agent, basically turning off the services itself for that.
All right, thank you, Vanna. Simone, as you seem to have the list of questions there, can you pop us the next one in chat and we can have a look?
There's
no more questions. For shame. I'm surprised, guys. Well, hopefully then you did find our session rather informative. Just a one quick round robin to go. Once again, no questions whatsoever from anyone in the chat. I see no hands raised, so I'm going to assume that is a no. All right. Well, everyone, this was a bit of a short and sweet one. It is our first one, but we look forward to having many, many more webinars with you guys in the future. And you'll get to meet our lovely operations team as well. And yeah, help us keep the Blue Turtle way going forward. And we look forward to seeing you all in our next sessions. We're going to end the event now. Yes, contact information. Go here. I just want to check. So when you guys are finished with the seminar, you are going to receive a link from us. In that link will then be the information towards the next webinar, as well as contact information should you feel free to reach out to us. So if you feel your SAM system is a bit, under the weather, hit up the doctors and we will sort you guys out. Yes, we do have one more question. Vanna, I'll let you tackle that one.
Does Flexera have a roadmap for supporting cloud-native inventory across AWS and Azure? There are adapters that's for both Azure and AWS, that's for discovery-wide, and then there's normal inventory agents that you install on those areas, that specifically to inventories. If it's the SaaS side, it will be on the cloud management platforms on the Flexera end.
Thank you, Werner. Right, I think some people are maybe typing some questions. Maybe we're just rushing them a little bit. So I'm just going to give a few more minutes if anyone else has any questions. Alternatively, don't be shy, guys. I don't know about Vanna, but I don't bite. If you have questions you would like us to unmute you, please just raise your hand. You're welcome to chat with us directly on the session. Perfect. Thank you, Simone. So as Simone mentioned in the chat, guys, if you have any other questions after the session, you are welcome to mail our marketing team at marketing@blueturtle.co.za. This will also be in the chat, and you guys will receive correspondence from our team as well. Okay. I do see one more question that may have appeared. Let me just double check here. No, okay, it was just a notification there. Right, guys, if there are no more questions, and today was a rather short and sweet session, we do thank you all for attending, and we look forward to seeing you guys in our next webinar. We will be closing off the event from our side. I wish you all a lovely day further. Oh, yes, Greg, sorry. The last minute, I see your hand came up, Greg.
No, just thank you very much. That's interesting.
No, thank you, Gregory. Always appreciate it, my good sir.
Thanks, bud.
All right, guys. Everyone, have an absolutely lovely day. Look after yourselves. We're going to be closing off the session. Goodbye.